and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Simon Miller, and today I'm joined by Mr. Trinker.
All right.
That's gibberish, Mr. Blue Trinker, and Mr. Tamari.
Hello.
And that is it. It's a three-man team because everyone's away, they're ill, they're on holiday, on their press events, or they're dead. So, it's just going to be a three-man team this week, which I hope everyone is all right with. Before we get going, remember the promotional materials.
Or they're dead.
Well, maybe they are. I don't know.
Steve Burns, God rest him.
He could be dead. Twitter, we are VideoGamer. Was it at VideoGamer.com, Facebook VideoGamer.com, YouTube VideoGamerTV, Patreon, patreon.com/VideoGamer, website VideoGamer.com.
I'm at VG Tomo.
Tom's on a big push to get more Twitter followers, so everyone go follow him.
People don't follow me when they should because most of the ideas come from me.
And he's really humble about it as well. He's like a big humble bundle, is Tom. But we are going to talk about video games today. It's not on my sheet. But before we walked in this room, it got kind of announced, so I decided we're going to talk about that first. And that is Bethesda put up a teaser page for Fallout. Well, we assume it's Fallout 4. If
this
it's
will be
not,
good for SEO as well. Good thinking, man.
I'm always thinking. But that will troll the internet if it's not. So I'm pretty sure we can say that Fallout 4 is going to be announced if you're a Patreon member tomorrow, and if you're not a Patreon member today, if you're listening to this on day one when it comes out. Now, I think we all assumed they were going to do it at their press conference, so I guess now we'll get a trailer tomorrow and then gameplay at E3, correct?
Yeah, I assume so.
People excited? People pumped? Are people ready for a new Fallout game?
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
I just hope it's a new fancy engine.
I'm sure it would be. They surely cannot release... This is Bethesda's first big game. Well, because Wolfenstein to a certain point was, but that was kind of a revamp of stuff they'd done before. Whereas, Fallout and Elder Scrolls are their big games that I think people associate Bethesda with. I don't think they can release their first one of them on new-gen consoles and it not be a brand new engine looking like, holy shit, look what they've done.
Yeah. I just think after Witcher 3, although there is some negative reaction to Witcher because of the downgrade stuff, if it doesn't look at least as good as that, because they're a similar open-world experience, people will be quite negative.
About what, sorry? If it's not like Fallout 3?
If it doesn't look as good as Witcher, sorry.
Sorry, I misheard what you said entirely there.
Visually.
That was going to sound bizarre for anyone listening. I got completely the wrong end of the stick. No, I agree with that, but Fallout 4 must have been in development for what? 3-4 years? Maybe 5?
Yeah, there seem to be about
2008
4 or 5 years
it came out, right? So it may even be in development for 7 years if you want to get to the point of, getting one game out the door. And it may not even be this year. Maybe it's next year. I don't know. But I can't believe, given how... I'm going to go with visual fidelity pleasing, which is not a word at all that Fallout 3 was. I can't believe they released Fallout 4 and not think that's, a big plus point they have to get right. I mean, all they really need to do is repackage, because everyone loved that Fallout 3 the way it was set out. Like that won everybody over. It took Fallout to new levels. All they really need to do is repackage that in a nice sort of new gen package, and they're probably going to win a lot of people over and make them very happy.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope this one is closer to New Vegas than Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Because
what did you see the major differences between 3 and New Vegas being?
Well, Fallout 3, I loved Fallout 3. I still do. I think it's brilliant. But New Vegas, despite being sort of, in terms of, in technical terms, perhaps a bit of a shoddier product because there was more bugs and stuff. But the quests and stuff had much better sort of design. They were a bit more open-ended. Fallout 3 made a lot of strides in that area as well when you compare that to Oblivion. But New Vegas had, it just felt very Obsidian. And Obsidian, one thing they're really good at is tying you to the world by the writing, via the characters. And the writing in Fallout New Vegas was so good. It was really well acted. It was really well written. And Fallout 3, when you go back to Fallout 3 after playing New Vegas, it doesn't feel like it's got quite that sort of quality of the prose of of how good the characters are. I'm talking shite now.
No, I agree. I know what you mean.
How good the characters. Imagine Barry Norman was like, the characters are quite good. But you know what I mean, though. It's Fallout New Vegas is, to my mind, it is the better game, and I really hope that has influenced whoever's working on Fallout 4.
I tell you what, I don't think it will happen, but I would be intrigued if Bethesda had sat there and gone, you know what? We've done a lot with the Elder Scrolls, obviously, especially Skyrim and Oblivion. Maybe we've done enough with Fallout 3. We're going to completely revamp this shit. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be basic. It's going to be open world, and it's going to be, the Bethesda template that people expect. We're going to try something new. We're going to do something different. Because I would love to get a Bethesda game now, which is an RPG as we expect, but doesn't feel like their old stuff. I really would, because I put so much hours into all
Surely
of those games.
they have to do something with combat in their games, don't they?
Do they though? I mean, they're very well received. They sell very well.
But we've kind of, I don't know, like Skyrim in particular, the combat feels so kind of wonky. I mean, Fallout had the benefit of having the turn-based stuff as well, and like the VAT stuff, so you could do that instead. But I don't know, like Skyrim, it feels. I imagine it felt bad at the time, but if you go from something like Witcher and then go to Skyrim, I imagine it feels awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it that hurts the combat is pretty much the first person perspective, but people have done first person melee really well. Maybe it's not really that, but I don't know. I think that the combat in Elder Scrolls has got progressively better. Because if you compare Skyrim to Oblivion, it's
night and day. In Fallout 4, isn't it just a case of them getting it to work in both first and third person? I know that's like horrible to say and people get mad, but it is a lot more fun in first person than it is in third. Third has always felt really weird and sort of floaty and strange.
I always wondered if they would ever have like a hard switch. So when you, this is probably something they would never do. It actually kind of goes against the ethos of Elder Scrolls, I guess. But like, if you can imagine, sort of when you're exploring, it's first person, but it switches to third person for a combat state, so you can actually have a system that has dodges and rolls and it makes the combat a bit more tactical. It makes you use the space, because the problem is that you've got an enemy in front of you. You're in first person, so what do? You run up and you twat it until it dies. Yeah, and that's the only strategy you have.
Mash the right trigger and do some magic every now and then with left trigger.
I mean, even with magic, all you're doing, you're just twatting it with particles instead of a sword, but you're still like. What was it? Dark Messiah of Might and Magic.
Yeah, that was good.
That was first person melee.
Yeah, it was.
And the combat in that was really well received. So
I think I would just
can do it.
Yeah, it's something like if you're having a sword battle. And I can't think of any game that does this. I would just love it if there was some kind of sort of a more jousting element to it. So a lot more, so you go to swipe at someone and someone blocks it and you get that impact of the pad or whatever. I mean, maybe given that the amount of enemies you come across in a game like that, it would become boring after a while. But I would love it if it was a bit more back and forth, a bit more, you've got to rely on some form of timing, or like I say, people could actually block your shots and it felt big, it felt, clunky's the wrong word, chunky's a better thing. So you actually feel like you've got this big sword and so have they, so the battles actually mean something, but I presume if you do that, you probably have to lower the amount of enemies you fight, because it's probably going to take a lot of time. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just easier if you go around smacking everybody in the face, because it takes less. It's less reliant on the
What if
system.
Fallout 4 is just a first-person shooter?
Oof.
It is.
Well, it would sell.
It is a shooter.
People would love it.
It's got like a big world, but it is. It plays just like Rage.
I think people would be very mad.
Imagine it was just Destiny.
Well, I honestly think all they really do, they need open world, you need the whole nuclear apocalypse thing, and you need the VAT system. I think, and you need the dialogue stuff. I think other than that, Bethesda can have a lot of fun with Fallout 4. And like I say, if you're listening to this later in the week or whenever you get to these podcasts, you'll know a lot more already. And maybe they are just making Fallout 4 in name and kind of body. That's what they want to do. But I genuinely think your first sort of well-established franchise on a new gen, I think you can have a bit of fun with it. And I hope they do. Either way, I kind of felt they've timed this very well. I'm definitely ready to go muck around with Fallout again easily. So there you go. When do you think it's coming out? Obviously, they may announce it tomorrow. I doubt it. But is it this year or next year? It's got to be one of the two. Tom?
Well, you kind of hope this year, but I can't see it happening. Like, it doesn't feel... They've got other stuff. Like, I imagine Doom would come out before, but who knows? Like, I don't know if they're going to pack in Doom and Fallout at the same time. Maybe Doom's not this year either, but I don't know. I'd say next.
Jim?
Next year.
Fallout 4 comes out. When?
Well, it's usually it is usually a year, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
From
I can't remember what they did before.
I'm going to say Fallout 4 comes out November 2015, and Doom comes out March 2016.
November 15th.
There you go. Miller's bold predictions right here on the Video Gamer UK podcast.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, Fallout 4 must be pretty far along now as well.
I'd like to think that Bethesda have got enough balls to say, here's the game, it's out in 6 months' time. Someone's got to do it. No one else is doing it.
They've probably been working on Fallout 4 since they came, since towards the end of Fallout 3.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same with Bethesda. Their cycles seem to be pretty consistent.
Yeah.
They started working Oblivion at the end of Morrowind. The last Morrowind expansion has loads of references to Oblivion in it.
I love that.
And I don't think you would ever know about them unless you look at the wiki, like a sad person. But it was. I believe it was Fallout 3 as well. They started working on that.
Yeah.
Sort of mid kind of Oblivion development because it was a different team or whatever. But Skyrim. It's probably been in development since. Yeah, end of Fallout 3.
I think they could release it this year if they wanted to. And like I said, it all depends on what other publishers are doing, I guess. You're going to get Call of Duty. You're going to get Assassin's Creed. Batman's obviously way before that, so I haven't got to worry about that too much. I mean, what else is coming out at the end of the year? Gears, maybe, potentially Halo. Not Gears, because Halo's coming out. But
a couple of things have been pushed to next year already, haven't they? So there is maybe more space than there would have been at the end of the year.
I think at the moment, the only thing I know in November is Call of Duty, and I think Fallout could easily stand alongside that. I do. That's what I think. We'll find out. Talking about games that have been announced as well, 2K came out and announced they've got XCOM 2 coming, which at the moment is PC only. Now, I can't really talk about this because I've never actually, the closest I've ever got to an XCOM game is watching somebody else play it. So, I've watched the XCOM 2 stuff and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be all right. I mean,
is it set in like a different era? It's not set.
It's like way in the future, isn't it?
I think so. But
to be honest,
I
haven't read anything about it, but based on all I've seen is the the teaser stuff, which all look futuristic. So I know it has been announced and properly, but I just haven't read it. But it looks future. Because
the XCOM franchise, until now, sort of veered from like retro futuristic 50s to sort of near future or contemporary. But yeah, from what I saw,
this looks like future.
Yeah,
well, I can see why they're doing that because I think. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm being unfair on the human race, but I just think that would appeal to more people from a marketing standpoint. If you've got kind of retro 50s fighting, like Happy Days aliens, or you're actually fighting, if you're fighting in like 2049 against serious aliens.
But Happy Days alien is literally Mork from Ork.
yeah, pretty much. But it wasn't that far, but it was that kind of sense. If they talked about aliens in Happy Days, they probably would have described what you fight in XCOM. Maybe they do think, I'm not saying it's gone gritty, but, maybe a more modern's the wrong word, but futuristic, tying into what everyone else is doing. I mean, Call of Duty is the obvious example. But maybe from a marketing point of view, they do look at it and go, we can sell this to more people because it's only been announced for PC at the moment.
Yeah.
If they're only focusing their attentions on PC, it leads one to believe that maybe the reason they're not going to console is because they looked at the Xbox 360 and PS3 numbers and went, what's the fucking point? Nobody played. They may have played it, but not to the point.
It seemed like lots of people did. Like I played XCOM on the Xbox, and I thought God of other people did, but I don't know. Like PC only probably means I'm never going to play this version. But
I actually think it's better that it's PC only because I think if that's obviously where their biggest market is or their biggest audience,
I'm sure
is, so you may as well appeal to the
big fan base will be happy that it's PC only because it means they're not going to do anything that would tailor it also to console, so they can go as hardcore as they want. But I don't know. Like I feel slightly like I would have probably played it had it been on console, but maybe I'm not.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop it coming to console. That's the other thing. If this is a really successful launch and does really well, and there's a big enough demand from it, months down the line, you can continue its life cycle by saying, "Hey, now it's on console as well." That makes it brand new, brand fresh. People get excited, and you can tie it into some PC download or something as well. Right?
It must be such compared to last gen, it must be such a piece of piss to do console ports now as well. So
you think so? I
mean, yeah. Well, it's the same hardware, isn't it?
Have you played much XCOM, Jim? Are you an XCOM guy?
I played a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I played the PS3 version because that's the version I had, and I think I got maybe about 15 hours into one playthrough. And people do like dozens of playthroughs, and people who really get into it, they play it all, and then they go on the big hard mode or whatever. And I was never going to do that. I was probably going to just get to the end of a game, and then that'll be enough for me. I got to the point where I got to, and this is really common in XCOM, I got to a particularly hard scenario, and my entire fucking team got wiped out. The team that I'd been building for 15 hours.
Fallen in love with a little bit.
Yeah. And at that point, I was like, no, fuck it. I'm not doing it anymore. That's it. It's done for me now. So,
yeah. No, I get that.
I'm not really arsed, to be honest.
No, there you go.
I think of XCOM and I just think of bitter disappointment after investing lots of time.
Well, that's something you're not going to be excited about. I mean, I think as well, if it's going to, everyone's thinking, oh, maybe they'll make it more accessible. If it's PC only, I think it's going to be dog hard. And I think it's going to be, crushingly horrible when, it's not going to pull any punches. So I think that's another reason why they've done it. I think the team is Firaxis, isn't it, XCOM? Yeah, it's Firaxis. Probably said, look, we could make it for consoles, but we've got to tweak this, that to appeal to that fan base. Fuck it, let's just keep it on PC and keep it how XCOM should be. And I respect that. I think that's, it may probably, I don't know how much a port costs, but I imagine they probably would have made more money if it came to Xbox One and PS4. But I think in terms of making that game what it needs to be, PC only is probably the way to go.
That's fine, yeah. I mean, they just want to get the What's It Dust crowd on side.
Oh, yeah. I love those guys. Fucking love them. All right, the last new game we're going to talk about that got announced, we've got to go through them all, to be fair, is Lego Worlds. Now, I didn't know this, Tom. You say you can play it right now.
Yeah.
And it's a Minecraft game.
Well, it's a Lego game,
right? But it's Minecraft
copied Lego, didn't it?
Well, Lego should have made that game first, but they didn't.
It's a big open build stuff game, like Minecraft.
But with Lego blocks.
I think the difference is because it's Lego. I may be wrong, but apparently, so I read. You say you had a Lego kit at home and it had instructions on how to build this. I don't know, like you had an X-wing or whatever. You could build that exact thing in the game using the same.
That's quite
bricks.
cool. I didn't know that.
I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's a load of rubbish. But if you're really into Lego, I imagine that is a big thing if that is true. But it's got like it looks like the world building stuff maybe is a little bit easier to get things created in, like there's tools to like lower and raise land in big, unless the trailer is very misleading, in big like swathes of stuff. So you just create mountains and all this kind of stuff. I'm doing lots of hand gestures and you can't see them.
That's good.
I did a mountain gesture.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it had a tall peak on it.
But yeah, it looks like how you'd expect a kind of Lego open world creation game to look. And I don't know, Lego is quite popular, so I imagine it would do well.
I'm intrigued by it, but I mean, is it free to play? I mean,
no.
So you pay money for it? Is it just PC as well?
It's PC only, at least at the moment. It's early access, so it's still being made, essentially. I think it's like 12 to £14, something like that.
I think we'll probably do some form of video on it, if not this week, next. But I think, I was saying this to James, our games editor, earlier as well. Out of all the toy-to-life games, Lego Dimensions intrigues me the most because its franchises are so good. Like the licenses it's got attached to it, like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Simpsons, the things I actually think, I wouldn't mind having Lego versions of them, really. Yeah. If I can then put them into a game, I wouldn't mind that massively either.
Is there WWE Lego?
Not officially, I don't think. I'm saying that's slightly reserved. But that's what I mean. If it did go that far, then I probably would invest into it.
Do you know what I love about that? You said not officially, as in, well, I have got the paintbrush out. And
that exists. There's a very big WWE Lego community on the internet.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. Whether or not that's official stuff, I don't know. I presume it's not.
That's so specific. How is there a community for that?
Well, because people like recreating matches with Lego toys, I guess, and they think we got to make our own.
There's a big WWE.
I'll show you when we get out of here. I'll show it to you. I'll show you all the YouTube stuff. But
do they do Playmobil as well, or is that a different crowd? Do they fight?
I think maybe they snick a Playmobil in every now and then. And there's like dissension from the community. You can't put a Playmobil character in here. It's
you
Lego.
Don't know anything about Playmobil.
Exactly. Stick with Lego, assholes. But I think, like you just said, the fact that it ties in. It's the point is that we like Lego because we're all big kids at heart.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you can go get your Skywing. What the fuck is a Skywing? If you can go get your XCOM, oh for fuck's sake, your X-wing, and then recreate it in a game based on the schematics, for lack of a better term, you already have in real life. That gives it more of an edge than say something like Skylanders or Disney Infinity, which are fine in their own right. I get them and I understand they've got huge, but to me it just thinks, that's more interesting. I don't think I play Lego Worlds necessarily, but I understand that it could probably be released and appeal to people that are obsessed with Lego.
Yeah, we could have got this all wrong. It might be very simple and not you might be doing any of that.
Well, maybe.
If you can't, you probably should.
Well, yeah, exactly. You have to tie into the foundations you've already built. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. That's madness. But anyway, you want to go try that, you can do as well.
Yeah. What I find interesting about Lego Dimensions is the franchises that it's attached to seem like they're designed to appeal to people our age, not young, not little kids.
Something like Ghostbusters, especially. I don't think kids know what Ghostbusters are.
Scooby-Doo's still a thing? That's one of the ones, isn't it? Lego Dimensions.
I think Scooby-Doo is still a thing.
Is it?
But I think something like Ghostbusters, especially, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's a cartoon on right now, but yeah, I would say you're right. The Ghostbusters is designed for us.
I mean, I can't even get my kids to watch Back to the Future. I've tried so many times.
You're kidding me.
They're like, Dad, it's boring. And I'm like, what do you mean it's boring?
It's like a journey through time, quite literally.
Nobody gets killed in the first 10 minutes.
Is that what they want?
Probably, yeah.
It's like I was saying earlier. I don't know if anybody happened to watch Good Morning Britain this morning, and it's on Tuesday this week, but they had some... they were talking about robotic limbs and how that's becoming a big thing now, and the technology's got to a point they can start offering it to more people. And they had this kid on there who needed some prosthetic hands, but they said you found a way to play video games even though you need these things, which will make playing video games a lot easier for you. What's your favourite video game? This kid was 10 maximum. He said Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is an 18 rated game. So that's the world we now live in. But Lego Dimensions, I've never played a Toy to Life game. Maybe I'll play it. Who knows? Right, that's all the new games that have been announced. Unless I've missed anything. Anything else been thrown out to the wild this week that I haven't thought about? I don't think so. I'm pretty confident it hasn't.
No.
We've already talked about Rock Band quite a bit, haven't we?
Well, I was going to mention Rock Band 4 in passing. We'll do that now, as you just mentioned it, because Jim and I went to an event yesterday.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see what we did there, you can go watch this week's The Miller Report.
Yeah.
Which probably means we'll stop getting invited to events soon, but, we'll keep riding this wave for now.
It's a very good Miller Report, if I do say so myself.
I mean, the thing with Rock Band 4 is we did play it, I played it for a little bit, for one song to be specific, and it's not fair to judge it on the back of that, and I used the microphone, so I didn't play with the new guitars.
You done vocals, you cheated.
Yeah, but even from the way you interact with it, I couldn't really see a massive difference from what has come before. I know, I'm sure they've kind of tweaked it and added in a load of small things that actually, if you do play it for a long time, if you then try to go back to Rock Band 3, you go, oh no, they have streamlined it a lot, but it is still a rhythm action game, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm sure there's still loads of people out there that are having Rock Band 4 parties and all of that. But I just think I'm done with it. I kind of got bored before the bubble burst a few years ago. When it did burst, I wasn't massively upset because I thought, well, I had so much fun from it anyway. I've still got all this stuff I want to go baback to it, and I've never had the urge since. I'm playing it again yesterday. I was like, oh, it's fun. I could do it again, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to do it. And I presume, Guitar Hero is a little... I wouldn't say more interesting, more intriguing is a better word, simply because they've changed how the guitar works to try and make it more accessible. So maybe you could play that and go, oh, this does actually make it feel...
It does sound like Guitar Hero they are trying to do something new across the whole thing. Like they've got as much as it seems a little bit gimmicky, the whole crowd system that's a real life crowd. And they've got that thing about there's going to be a channel, isn't there? So you can just play a channel and it kind of is as if you're playing on a music channel. So whatever song comes on, you can play it. But then to play it whenever you want, you have to buy that track. It sounds like they're doing some new stuff, but Rock Band does seem a bit like it's what you had before, but now on another console. Which
is, and loads of people are enjoying it and saying it's great and it's a lot of fun. I just mean from a point of it's Friday night and I want to play a video game. Am I going to plug up all my Rock Band instruments? I don't think I'm going to do that. I'd rather get out my real guitar. But it was fun enough. It was entertaining enough. I still think, if you've got a bunch of mates around and it's Saturday night, you probably have a good time with it. But I still cannot see I had this rant a few weeks ago on a Patreon video we did. I still cannot see the reason for bringing it back now, other than the fact they think enough time has passed and that hopefully there's like a new crowd that would be interested in this kind of stuff. In terms of what the game is doing, I don't see what the justification is.
Why did they both come back this year? Like, what? How did that?
It's got to be marketing.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think it's simply because I think that one of the reasons the bubble burst before, partly because it was oversaturated, because you had two massive rhythm action franchises that were releasing updates constantly and new versions constantly. But I think the reason that became unsustainable is because the last console generation lasted too long.
Very good argument.
So I think had we had new gen, like a couple of years before we had hit the bubble with the rhythm action, it would have rejuvenated, because it's always a big marketing thing, isn't it? When new consoles come out, they love it because you can now do your old shit and just be like, well, it's a new version, it's a new console, this is amazing. You've got an excuse to sort of, you can refresh it without really refreshing it. So because that took a while to happen, basically the consoles outlived the fad.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's coming back now, is because the new consoles are bedded in and they're probably going to start the cycle all over again.
I think it's a great shout, because I remember when Guitar Hero 3 came out on Xbox 360 and PS3, I was excited about it. I thought, oh man, now I can play Guitar Hero on my Xbox 360, which is where I want to play it. Whereas this time, I don't have that at all. Because I think you're right, it died a death before the consoles were ready to go away. So they're like, well, we can't reiterate what we've already done again. We're already seeing figures go down, but we can just go quiet for a few years. And I do think it must have been some kind of focus testing stuff from Activision and from Harmonix, who just said, Mad Cats, who just said, people are ready for this again. Or I don't know how this stuff works, but it has to be something like that, because I mean, that's the only worry I have about Guitar Hero. I understand this is very cynical. I'm sure this isn't true by any stretch of the imagination, but a small part of me worries that the only reason that they have changed the guitar is so they can sell new guitars. And I get that. It's a business. They need to make money. But at the same time, I would just love it if... I mean, I said this 6 weeks ago, whenever it was. I would love if the Netflix model had been introduced to these games. So it is a question of, you don't buy Rock Band, you subscribe to Rock Band, and then when you're done with Rock Band, you just cancel your subscription and all the songs vanish. And I just think that would be a much better way to do it rather than...
That might be... That's probably something they could still do further down the line, isn't it? I mean...
Yeah, true.
Who knows?
Well, that's Spotify Hero. There we go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's something that all video games need to do eventually anyway. And no one, apart from EA Access, who are kind of dipping their toes now, no one's kind of embraced it full sail. But
didn't they? I mean, there was a presentation at the Rock Band. Well, there's always a bloody presentation at these things. I feel like you're in school, don't you?
Yeah.
Just sit down and look at the whiteboard for a bit.
Exactly, the overhead projector.
It's your quadratic equations. Right, I'm going to have a sleep. But they did immediately confirm. One of the first things he said was, you can use your old equipment.
Yep, that's true. They did.
And it's specific to Rock Band that the guitars aren't changing all that much. There are some design tweaks, but I mean, essentially, the impression we got is that imagine Rock Band 3 on a PS4. That's Rock Band 4.
Yeah,
which is fair enough. All the sort of tweaks that they were talking about, they wanted to. There was a big push to allow the player to be more expressive.
Yeah.
Which really sounded like the kind of stuff you really aren't going to notice when you're playing it.
That's it. I mean, I think maybe with singing you would, in the sense that, as the guy himself said, when people used to sing, they either whacked it on easy so they could do whatever they want and not fail, or they would deliberately watch the lines and follow it. I think now you can have a bit more, license to go a bit nuts with it, which I think is important because, if you're singing, as we found out yesterday, you do want to be a bit of a plonker, really. You don't want, unless you're taking it really seriously. But if you are, maybe you're missing the point a bit. Yeah. So I think they have made tweaks to it, and they are trying to sort of refine the Rock Band experience. But
didn't they sort of say as well that they're looking for Rock Band to be a long-term game as well? As in, I might be misremembering what he said, but I'm sure he said something along the lines of like, we're not going to bring Rock Band 5 out next year and then Rock Band 6. It's going to be Rock Band 4 is the base game. Well, we're going to expand it.
They mentioned that with Rock Band 3, I think. They wanted it to be a platform.
To be fair, they did support Rock Band for a long... They still supporting it right up to the end, weren't they? Well, way past the game's release. So I think that they'll do the same here. I think as soon as they've got it set up on the new consoles, they can just start churning out all the songs.
I think next year will be fascinating because I'm just going because Activision do this with all its properties. It wouldn't surprise me if Guitar Hero 7 or whatever the hell it would be, 6, whatever it would be next year comes out, and Rock Band doesn't. Rock Band just keeps releasing songs. And I think that's when you see the interesting take. I mean, we don't know if Activision may not want to do that at all. I'm just going, that's their usual model. But that's when I think you'll find a definite split between where those two games go, because I don't think Guitar Hero can do anything in a year's time to justify a new game coming out. I really, other than new songs, but we live in a digital age. Why aren't you just giving me to the new songs digitally? So that'll be interesting. But a lot of people are excited the rhythm action games in the Guitar and Rock Band Hero sense are good. Rock Band Hero, there you go, are coming back. But personally, for me, maybe I just did too much. I overplayed those games, and now I don't want to play them again. Tom, you've been playing Magicka 2, though, and I played a little bit of it as well, but I'm not really in a position to comment because I played it for an hour and a half and thought it was the most confusing game ever.
It is confusing.
I read a few reviews of it. A lot of people seem a little disappointed with it as well. Like, it's good, but we were expecting more.
Well, I think lots of people reviewed it having played the original a lot, whereas I didn't, so I was coming to it fresh, so it didn't seem...
But a lot of people will be, though. So.
Yeah. So I think if you did play Magicka, I imagine this does feel, based on what I've read, very similar. Like, it's almost like, if you like Magicka, here's some more Magicka. Whereas if you come into it new, particularly if you're a console player, because I don't think Magicka was on any consoles, I may be wrong, it is a kind of new experience. It does feel a lot like, I guess, Diablo, but with dual stick controls. So it's more of a, at times it feels like a dual stick shooter, but then you've got more traditional kind of RPG type attacks as well. And I kind of do like it. Like, I gave it a 7. It's not a bad score by any means. It's just, it isn't quite... It feels really hard to get into. Like, I'm sure even from the bit you played, like, there's a lot to it, and like I finished it, and I still don't feel like I really know exactly what I'm doing. Like, you have to play with friends. Like, if you're thinking about buying this game, do not buy it unless you're willing to play with other people, because you just can't.
It can't be fun by itself.
It's not. It's almost impossible. I tried it quite a lot in between playing with other people, and I just couldn't. Like, there are periods where I spend sort of like half an hour on, like, I'd barely move through the game. It was just so hard. And then as soon as you get at least one more, even just two of you, it suddenly becomes a lot more fun. It's a lot more possible to make progress, and it's a much better game. And I think it's not like I played Diablo 3 by myself all the time, and it was fine. Like, you can easily do it by yourself, at least on the level I was playing it. This is completely different. You have to play with other people. But assuming it does all right, I didn't have any trouble finding anyone to play with, so that's not really an issue. It's just the way, if you play games by yourself, this isn't for you.
Yeah, if you're going in by yourself, you're going to be surprised. It's like the same with Helldivers, though. I know they're made by different the developers now, but obviously the original Magica was by the team, and it's a different game as soon as you get people with you. It actually starts to make sense, whereas before it feels almost horrific.
Yeah. I mean, that I have actually, since I played Magica 2, even though I bought Helldivers probably straight after you were saying how good it was, I haven't played it. So
it's still a great game.
I installed it last night because I was thinking, I kind of like Magica 2, I might give Helldivers a go. So it's done something. It's made me think, maybe these kind of games are.
Well, I did we streamed it for about an hour and a half or whatever it was. And after that, I was getting into it. And I did have that feeling where I felt far more rewarded and satisfied for what I was doing because I had learnt it. But I think Helldivers is a bit more immediate because it's much more point and shoot. You still I don't know why the obsession is there, but I guess it does work because I like Helldivers. I mean, rather than kind of holding 8 different buttons to do a magic spell in Magica, you input basically cheat codes. Left, right, up, down, right, up, down, to activate, your weapon drops or new health or whatever. So you still have to remember this stuff.
And
so
that is quite similar.
But I think it's there because once you're starting getting overrun by enemies, and you either have to think of spells, you have to think of these drops that you need to get in from your spaceship, it does increase the pressure, and you do start yelling at your mates, and you do need to work as a team. Without that, I actually think it would lose something. So as much as I hate that stuff when I start, once I get into a momentum routine with it, I actually think that's what makes those games so good.
I think one of the issues with Magica 2 is that the actual game that you play through, and the levels and the environments are fairly bland and not really that interesting. Whereas I think the mechanics and the gameplay is all pretty good and solid and quite clever. Yeah. But the actual game itself, like what you actually progress through, is a bit dull, and it needed to be a bit more like fantastical, if that's a word. It needed to be more exciting. Basically you go through ice level, you go through a dungeon, you go through a forest, you go through a town, and it's all a little bit like you're just working through it to get to the end. It's nothing particularly exciting about it. It's just the actual combat itself and the spellcasting, all that stuff that keeps you going. I'm sure people that play it, particularly on PC, I imagine, to a high level, and they kind of have their groups and they know exactly all the spells. There's probably spells I never even cast in the good time I was playing it, because you can do a load of different combinations. I think they claim it's thousands because of the different combinations you can have. And if you know exactly what you're doing and you're doing what you should be doing, I imagine it goes up another level. But for the average person, particularly on PS4, where you've got to contend with all the buttons and the switching and the toggle buttons and all this kind of stuff, I think it's kind of a fun experience. But I didn't really think I've got to go back and learn all what I've achieved so far in another playthrough or anything. But it's good. I think it's a hard game to get into. Yeah. And it's kind of I described it as tiring because it's you have to concentrate a lot because you do something wrong, you just kill yourself. It's not me.
Oh man, I did that all the time. I fell off scenery. I set myself on fire. At one point, I was suffering from some kind of water disease. Yeah. I didn't understand all that nonsense. But hey, by the end of it, I kind of wanted to play more. Jim, you watched a bit of it.
Didn't you blow yourself up with a grenade in Helldivers as well?
Oh man, I did that all the time. That's when Tom walked in, I think. Tom walked in and saw me blow myself up with a grenade. But that was very early on when I was still learning everything. And there was definitely a learning curve to both games. Like I say, I guess because when you're playing twin-stick shooters, which are what these are, you expect them just to be, right, go. Start shooting everything. And it's actually quite nice when you find out they've got hidden depth. It may not be initially, you don't understand it straight away. But I don't know, I actually think they've got something, these people. It's Paradox. Who made this one? The original was Paradox. I don't
know who made it. It's
those
Paradox,
guys?
but it's not.
Oh, it's not the same team.
It's not the Helldivers
Right,
team
okay.
because they did their own thing, but it is still Paradox.
Yeah, well, I quite like it. You watched a bit of it though, Jim. Would you play it?
Yeah, I downloaded it the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I played. I made the mistake of giving, because usually, even with like heavy co-op games, you like to give it a go by yourself and see what the crack is.
Yeah.
And basically did the tutorial and then got fucked when more than one goblin showed
Yeah.
up. It was all right
got
fighting one
absolutely
thing
ruined.
at a time, then you just get mobbed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do fancy giving it a proper go.
What else have you been playing though? Still Witcher 3, right?
Still Witcher 3.
How is it? Still loving it? Still
Pretty good.
obsessed?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is it a 10 out of 10 game for you?
Yes.
Oh, you thought about it, but then you were confident. I could see it in your face.
The only doubt is the technical stuff.
How is all that? Because that's kind of died a death now, because it wasn't. People wanted to defend CD Projekt Red to the death anyway, and now the rest of the game is so good that's kind of passed by the wayside. But is it really? Is it that bad? I mean, does it affect
really
the game that
isn't.
much?
And with every patch that comes out, I know the one patch in particular has caused issues for certain people, but I didn't have those problems. It seems like every patch that comes out, the console performance improves. I think I honestly don't think that the technical stuff detracts from it too much.
Yeah.
Because it's fine. You know, people completely. I've had people say to me on Twitter, like, "Oh, I was thinking about getting it, but the frame rate really bugs me. I wouldn't be able to play it." And I'm like, but when you're in the middle of, you know, it's an epic story. You're in the middle of like a quest when what you're focused on is like finding where the monster's hiding, or you know, tracking down the killer, or because there's loads of this investigative stuff because it's really procedural as a game as well.
Yeah.
It's very much sort of like, it's like medieval Batman in a lot of ways.
Oh man, sold. It is like that, though. You're right.
But yeah, but when you're deep and you know, when that stuff grabs you, as it does, as it should, you know, if you're paying attention, you just don't care.
Yeah.
And if I was unable to stop noticing, you know, like glitches and frame rate and whatever, and just get on with enjoying the game, I'd be really upset. But
I'm the same.
stuff has never bothered me. I think it's because I had an Amiga for so long.
So you're just used to it by now.
Yeah.
But it is true. I think when I played like 2 hours of The Witcher 3, I'm going to go back to it. It was kind of where after an hour I didn't notice it. Like, eventually, you know, maybe the pop-up and cutscenes or that delay that it had would kind of, you know, hit me a little bit. But it didn't. It never took me out of the game. The frame rate was never that bad that I thought it was screwing me over.
Yeah.
And that was the point. It didn't really affect what I was doing. It was just a little visual cue every now and then. It's not something. It didn't break the game. If it doesn't break the game, I don't really care.
I mean, it's supposed to the only thing is that, like, every now and then, like, you're reminded that you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
I guess. But I mean, that's fine, right?
You are. So
'Cause
it's
you
okay,
are.
yeah.
It's like, I mean, I like. It's analogous to me. It's analogous to in the old days when you went to the cinema and it was on film, and if the film had been out for a few weeks, the print would be fucked and dusty and minging, but you didn't care because you were watching a film, like, you know. And it's a similar sort of thing to me. It's obviously not, you know, completely analogous because there's actual, you know, it's not been released with loads of dust or anything, and I get that. And a lot of people really take it seriously as a sort of consumer issue when games have technical issues. But I think a lot of that is actually largely down to just, frankly, ignorance about how complicated this kind of software is. But yeah, I mean, it's really missing the forest for the trees, I think.
I think so. I think if you're going to let issues like that take away from something The Witcher is doing, which is doing so well, then you're probably lost in other walks of life as well because you're focusing on the wrong things. But you are. It's like sometimes you got to go, okay, frame rate's a bit annoying, but, you know, let's not worry about Z. Let's worry about A, B, and C because A, B, and C are so good. It doesn't matter what's all the way down there. You know, these are the bad boys that
so,
are
you know,
kicking
if
off.
you want a fucking piece of toast, but the toaster's pink, so you're not going to have toast. That's what it's like.
Yeah. Why is the toast pink? I never had pink bread before.
No, the toaster is pink.
the toaster. I thought you meant the bread. I was like, if the bread, that's a bit weird.
I knew a guy once who his girlfriend had a pink toaster, so he wouldn't eat toast in our house. He's like, I'm not heating my bread in that.
He's the guy on forums right now going, "The Witcher's frame rate is terrible." Is that really true? He wouldn't eat toast. What's going to happen?
I just fucking looked at him like, are you serious?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
We're going to start sewing or something.
I can't use that.
That's insane. It's not like a paparazzi man was going to pop up and take a picture of him. Got you, pal.
What would happen anyway? What if people found out you used a pink toaster?
Random man caught in pink toaster scandal.
Being shamed on he used a pink toaster. So fuck.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
Did he use margarine? Then I'll give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Lower that cholesterol. Not how you say that word. Before we answer the questions you've asked this week, we did run a competition about, just had to do something with Kojima. That was literally it. We got some absolutely bizarre entries, some of which we made tweet out. Did you see any of the video stuff that we got?
I haven't seen the videos, but I've heard some of them.
I mean, we appreciate them all, but some of them.
I heard Simon laughing at them.
One is terrifying. You took a phone call. I'm going to show it to you later. It is terrifying.
Really?
But yeah.
Oh,
but we still appreciate it, though. Don't get us wrong. But the winner was Johnny Viper, who, incredible. It didn't really have much to do with Kojima, so that kind of is cheating. But you've seen it, Jim. He basically took you and me and he put us into a Street Fighter.
This is brilliant.
He made the sprites, though. I'm looking at them right now on my telephone device. And yeah, he made sprites, and it's so well
Kojima
done.
Beamer as well, though.
Oh, there was a Kojima Beamer. I've just noticed that. Okay, that's fine. I'll take it. But it was just the effort that put in. It looks really good. It looks like it could be an actual video game.
I saw there was a screenshot. It was Street Fighter 2 Miller versus McLeish.
Yeah, I mean, we'll tweet it out and stuff.
It was so good.
Yeah. Oh, it was fantastic.
Well
so you are the winner. We'll get in touch and arrange your voucher of £50 from shop2.net up to the value of £50. You can get a game, and you can enjoy it for all your hard work.
And now when I looked at it, I was like, I want to play that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It was really, really
I'll
well
tell you
done.
what, though, the pose that he's put me in, Tam in,
I'm going to look.
is a bit it's a bit of a kind of French toilet squat kind of.
I mean, you're basically E Honda and I'm Zangief. That's the poses we've got here, but they are very good. We are going to announce a new competition soon, but we're changing it a little bit. We're taking it away. We're not taking it. We're still going to be on the Video Gamer forums, but we're also going to announce it on YouTube as well, just because a lot of people have been asking for that. So keep an eye on VideoGamerTV on YouTube. And we'll announce the next podcast competition this week, maybe next week, I guess. It'll be soon. Keep an eye out for it. All right. Who wants to answer questions?
I'm up for some questions.
Damn right you are. It starts off with David Saunders, who asks, what's everyone's favourite VideoGamerTV video they've worked on? That's a question.
Oh, this is a license to just be very indulgent, isn't it?
Yeah, but I quite like the question because I thought maybe we could. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what people's answers were.
I like Splatoon is for babies.
Yeah, we did that on Friday.
I came up with the concept and the name.
Yeah.
Tom is so desperate to know
and
that.
like for this, the start of because 7 Reasons is basically the start of a series, and
you won on Friday
for a series debut. And I think that's probably the best one we've ever had.
I think so. Yeah, we
but
annoyed a lot
in
of people
terms of views, but it has also got the most dislikes that we've ever had in history.
Yeah, but that's because somebody decided to post it to 4chan, and 4chan doesn't understand satire apparently.
Yeah,
and they got very, very upset. I did enjoy doing that because it was just so ridiculous. Yeah. I think anything with that Miller Report character I get off on a little bit because it is just stupid. Sometimes I kind of kick my heels back and go, this is video game journalism, everybody. Going around making fools of ourselves. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a bit saddening though, because there's an entire generation of people now, unless it's a fucking gif of a cat, or like some like a screenshot from fucking Anchorman with a quote on it, they don't understand humor.
No,
and it's like unless it's fed to them in these very restrictive packages,
no,
they don't get it.
It's true.
They could do like 7 Anchorman quotes that should be video games.
Done. I tell you a video I did enjoy work on, that Mastermind video game quiz thing we did, which was bizarre. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much. I just thought that's something about it. It was just weird, I think. I got a kick out of doing that.
I mean, I'm the sort of person where the last thing I worked on is my favourite thing I've worked on. So,
yeah,
like, unless the last thing I worked on was total shit. But, because at the moment, I really like the Miller Report we've just done.
Yeah.
Before that, it was the previous Miller Report. Because basically, I don't know if people know how much involvement I have with the Miller Reports, but basically that's pretty much what I do now.
Yeah. Well, we sit down, we come up with an idea, we film it, then you edit it, basically. Yeah, and that's kind of the process. If anyone it's very much a team effort, the Miller Report. I don't want anyone to think that it's like a one-man job. Not at all.
Brings a lot to it.
It wouldn't work without everyone. They just wouldn't. Like it requires a lot of people's input to make that whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
It's bizarre. But yeah, basically at the moment, Miller Report, that's my favourite stuff.
I like the 7 reasons I'm excited about as well, especially the one we're doing this Friday. I think that could be brilliant.
I hope we get the same level of boiled piss.
The title alone is, oh man, it makes me excited. Matt says, have you guys played the pigeon bird dating simulator Hatophile Boyfriend on Steam?
No.
I have played it. I played at E3 last year, and I thought it was one of those boring things I've ever played in my life. It was just a bunch of screens where you just click random nonsense and some pigeons got together. It was absolutely insane.
I can work out who made you play that.
Yeah, you can. I did not like it at all. In fact, there's a video up somewhere if you go back a year to E3 2014. I just could not understand.
I remember the day you played that.
Do you really?
You were chuffing livid.
Was I chuffing livid? Shit. Jar Jar Abrams, which is Eric the Aussie, who I think we've asked a few questions on in the past. Do you think there's a possibility, and this ties into something else, Silent Hills will be brought back by one of the major 3 publishers, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony? Well, there was a rumour this week that Microsoft had bought Silent Hills for $1 billion. Now, I found out this rumour once it had been disproven. So once again, that proves that sometimes these rumours are like echo chamber nonsense that no one ever hears about.
I love it, people got on the outrage train before they thought about it, and it's just like,
$1
do you
billion.
think Silent Hill is worth? I mean, beloved property by a lot of people. But do you think it's worth $1 billion? They could launch a fucking console.
Exactly. Absolute nonsense. I don't think it is. I don't think Konami would sell it because what do they get out of it? And I don't think anyone would buy it because you can just make a scary game. Silent Hills doesn't carry enough name weight with it that you couldn't make your own scary game. Look at PT. Yeah. Before that was Silent Hills, everybody was pumped about it. If you do a good scary game, people will gravitate to that, not that it's Silent Hills.
How many Halo games does $1 billion pay for? What's the budget of a Halo game? 100 million?
With marketing and stuff, probably a bit more, yeah.
But
you could do 3 Halo games if you wanted to, I imagine, for $1 billion. It was ridiculous. But Nintendo, definitely not. Microsoft, maybe, if they really, really, really got stuck for IPs, but I don't think so.
It is the kind of game or franchise that you could... It's not beyond the realms of possibility that someone could type some kind of exclusive, like Tomb Raider on Xbox, where it gives you a bit more... that platform, a bit more of a, edge over the rival. But I don't know. I doubt Silent Hills was cancelled because it was going to another platform.
Yeah.
But who knows in the future what can happen.
Michael asks, Witcher, Metal Gear, Batman, which will be the best open world?
The best open world?
I think The Witcher 3 probably. I think Batman. I think I'll prefer Batman, but I don't think the open world would be as good as The Witcher's.
I think Batman could well be a better game, and it's certainly going to be a good game. But if you that aspect, Witcher,
I don't think
nothing's going to top it.
I don't think Metal Gear. The fact, even though the open world is apparently massive, the fact it's broken up into episodes makes me think you're not really going to be, because the best thing about a game like The Witcher is when you're going across these open plains and you think, shit, this is like a real place. I think Metal Gear will have that, but I think it will put you in some kind of areas rather than the whole thing.
I did get a message from Stephen Burns today talking about Metal Gear.
Excitedly?
And he used a word good.
Which is massive for Burns.
They'd probably say that, and it had about 8 O's.
Okay, that means it's very good then.
That's a Burns good.
I think the good thing is all those 3 games are going to be potentially 10 out of 10 games, I would never write off Metal Gear because I loved Metal Gear 4 so much, and I think the Arkham games are just incredible. So you could have 3 incredible games there. We'll see. James Shepherd, I'm planning on starting a gaming podcast with a mate. What advice would you give from content to recording to promotion?
Don't.
Yeah, there you go. Don't do it, James. Shut it down now.
Keep it short.
And get to when you start it, you can once you've built up an audience, but if I go to a new podcast, and this is so hypocritical considering what we do, but this is just from a new podcast I go to, if they ramble about what the subject isn't about for 10 minutes, I'm gone. I'm out. And I wanted to hear about, if I always look for wrestling podcasts when something big happens in wrestling, and if they talk about what they had for dinner the previous day for the first 5 minutes, I turn it off. I wanted to hear about wrestling.
Yeah, I think people like being irreverent, which is fine, but people often think that translates to just talking shit about their own sort of wretched lives.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah. And be entertaining, I think, is important as well.
Find a hook as well.
Yeah, gimmicks are good. That's true.
The hook on Game Wank, which has just finished this week. I'm glad somebody asked about podcasts, actually.
There you go.
The hook on Game Wank, when I was on it, was I would talk about Richie's dick all the time.
There's your
and
hook.
That became fucking legendary.
Richie's dick.
So actually, that's my advice. Talk about your mate's dick a lot.
Are you saying his dick is a hook?
He is now. I also think in terms of We didn't actually mention quality, but I think making sure the quality is half decent is important.
Audio quality.
Yeah, audio quality, because sometimes if it sounds like the person's like in a restaurant or something, it's really difficult.
Try and, if possible, get both in the same room rather than Skyping and stuff.
Well, you can do all right by Skype. You just have to make sure that each person records separate audio channels. That way
it's a lot harder unless you've got a lot of chemistry as well.
It's true. It's true. If there's a promotion, just go nuts with it. Just
buy a Blue Yeti microphone.
Yeah,
because they're reasonably cheap. They're really good. You can get a lot. You can get really good, nice sparkly kind of pro quality out of them really easily.
Yeah.
And fucking edit it. And I know it's really, and especially considering what we do, but we're fucking pros. We don't need to edit shit out of it. There's nothing annoys me more on podcasts when you listen to it and it is full of just garbage speech.
Treat it aggressively. Like, get rid of what you think. Get rid of the filler, and it will sound a lot more snappy, a lot more quick.
We record 4 hours, don't we, generally?
Oh, yeah, and then we cut it down.
Yeah.
Definitely. Ben Monroe, E3 has 7 major press conferences this year. Do you think it's gotten too big?
I think there should be more.
Why?
Because conferences are the best part of E3.
Well, that's true, actually, yeah. No one actually cares about anything else that goes on.
It should be 10 conferences.
I should have done this before. We're going to do it now. We've got Microsoft, we've got Sony. I guess Nintendo's counts as a press conference, even though it's not. You've got Square Enix. You've got Bethesda.
Yeah.
You've got 2 more. Who have I missed?
EA,
of course, and Ubisoft. Of course, there they are. Obviously, and Activision. They must have one.
Activision don't have a conference.
Oh, do they not? Okay, so there's 7. I don't think so, because I think, like you say, most of the announcements comes from press conference, and that's what gets people talking. That's what gets people excited. And also, if they all do their job right, E3 feels big. It feels special. It's when it doesn't feel like anything, when it's the worst. So I don't think it can get too big. It should be bigger. What they need to do is just cut out the amount of people they let in, because you get people from Taco Bell there, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. So,
what have you got against the people of Taco Bell?
Nothing.
It's a lovely country.
But when they're not actually covering the games, they're just there to play them, it's like, get out of my way, man, and give me a snack. Richard J., how would you handle covering a game you had no interest in?
Oh, I see where this is coming from.
Why?
What's happened?
That's a bit political.
Is it? Who covered? Oh, the Rock Band 4
the Polygon thing, yeah. Scully and fucking Lee the Smackdown.
Generally, from my point of view, if we get invited, to do a lot of stuff. And we often turn stuff down if there's no way we can cover it well. Like, just yesterday we were invited to something and it would have done quite well, probably, as a kind of big game, but no one here has any interest in it or knowledge, really.
That's the problem as well, is you feel not intimidated, but it's like if you said to me, Tom, you got to cover XCOM 2 right now, do a video on it, I'd be like, I don't know what to say. Like, it would be the most ill-informed, horrible thing ever, because I don't understand how to engage with it.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes if you've got a property that you don't like, it's best just to leave it be.
Yeah, I think if we did say, I sent Jim to play, I don't know, something that he really hates, like, I don't know, like FIFA. Don't you play much FIFA, Jim? Do you play much FIFA?
No.
But I imagine, even though he didn't really have much knowledge about it, he would give it a go.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you talk about your experiences with the game, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you make it clear, I'm coming at this from a very noob, terrible word, but new point of view, then I think you just have to accept that.
But obviously, we try our best to make sure the people that have some interest and knowledge about that game or franchise or genre see that title first.
Hence why Burns is at Metal Gear right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been in that position. I mean, luckily, I've never been asked to be in that position, but it's difficult. I mean, the closest I came to being in that position was Shadow of Mordor, that event, because I honestly wasn't interested in that game at all. I just didn't expect it to like it. I thought it was going to be bollocks. But
you love it now, right?
Oh yeah. But you got to go there and play the damn game and make an effort, as you say. And I did, and I loved it. But if it turned out that I didn't get on with it at all, you still, I'm not going to write an article about how actually what I actually did was fucking stand around eating pastries.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? There are some games that you should have applied knowledge for. I think Shadows of Mordor is one of them. A game like Rock Band 4 is one of them. You can pick it up. Whereas something like XCOM 2 or I don't know, World of Warcraft, there's a little bit more knowledge that needs to be implied before you can take it on. But those games, if you like games, you can get your head around them. You can come up with some kind of opinion. So, anyway. Pip Turner, I've been given a Nintendo 64 and I need to buy some good carts. Suggestions? I already have F-Zero X. Well, the problem with... I'd say go get GoldenEye, but good luck playing it with its frame rate. I'd say get Ocarina of Time, but good luck playing it with its frame rate.
I think Mario 64 should still hold up all right.
It's
clearly,
choppy.
It's not all loads of N64 games have aged badly because at the time I think we're all oblivious to frame rates.
Yeah.
And lots of them have the ones later in life particularly have terrible frame rates, but I'm trying to think of stuff that would potentially hold up.
I don't think much of it does. I think the problem with the control's nuts. Even Super Mario 64, just go get a 3DS and play it on that because it's just a DS even because it's just it chops and it's so hard to do the things it wants you to do. Nintendo 64 is not an easy console to go back to.
I love Mario Kart 64 at the time, but then that frame rate on that's not great. And when you start playing with other people, it basically becomes unplayable in terms of how we managed to play it back then. I don't know, but
just not used to anything else.
No.
You just accept. I remember playing International Superstar Soccer 64.
That used to be my favourite game.
It was
at the
my
time.
favourite game.
I loved it so much. But you go back to it, and it's so simplistic.
Yeah, but my dad looked at it and went, "Wow, you're never going to see better graphics than this. Go look at it now. It looks like a kid drew it." Yeah. But that's just it's just the you, as technology goes on, you go with it, and when you look back, you see how far we've come.
That early 3D generation, so the PlayStation and Saturn to a degree, and the N64, I think is probably aged worse than the one before because 2D games, they're still perfectly playable now. Some of them are a bit ropey because I think we were kids and we could license stuff we could just accept as being good, even though most of it was garbage. But PlayStation and N64 games, because they were early 3D, going back to them is hard. Like cameras in particular are often trouble. I don't think 3D cameras were mastered. And Mario 64 was one of the first games to get a good 3D camera.
Yeah. Oh, if not the first.
And they basically explained it to the person playing it by having a character who was the camera. It's kind of it's crazy thinking about it, but lots of those games are hard. Particularly N64 has one analog stick.
Yeah,
so
and C buttons.
I think at the time, the fact it had an analog stick was amazing.
It was amazing, and it worked really well.
Yeah,
but now, again, we've come too far. You introduce that second analog stick, and you try and go back and put your hand in the middle of a controller and look around using C buttons, and it feels crazy.
Yeah.
The Real Salmon says, how many death threats has Miller received from the controversy that was the Splatoon video? I wanted to bring that up because I had 5 people said they wanted to kill me because I made a joke about Splatoon. I just wanted to get that out there before we moved on.
Did they spell the word kill correctly?
No, the best comment was, your price is shit. Was that what it was?
Your price of shit.
That's right, your price of shit, like it's a new game show or something. But keep an eye on VideoGamerTV for a response to that later in the week. Yeah.
Welcome to your price of shit.
Coming down, your price of shit.
What does this even mean, Barrymore? No idea.
Well, that's where the podcast comes to an end, somewhat sadly. But if you are a Video Gamer Community Club member, you're going to get a little extra bit on the end where we're going to answer some more questions you sent in and talk about who else knows what. Just absolute nonsense.
I tell you what, you're going to get me post-stretch as well. I'm going to have a stretch now.
All right, you do that, Jim. Remember to follow Tom on Twitter. What is it, Tom?
VG Tomo.
There's no underscores, is it? Just VG Tomo. Jim, pick your Twitter handle or punch the microphone. Either's good.
Microphone.
Either way we want to do.
I hate my Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is Old Dad Jim.
Why do you hate that? It's good.
Yeah, but it's trying to tell people it.
Okay.
It's difficult. So AULD_DA_Jim.
And mine is Simon Miller 316. But don't follow Tom. That's what you want to do. If you want to take anything from this podcast, it's to follow Tom on Twitter and enjoy his juicy tweets.
Yeah.
And while you're there, follow VideoGamer.com. Go to Facebook, VideoGamer.com, VideoGamerTV. And if you want to hear more of this, you can sign up for our Patreon right now for $5 and hear us talk for another 20 minutes or so, which is all right. But I want to thank Jim Trinker for joining me today. I want to thank Tom Mori for joining me today. Yeah. And I want to tell everyone at home that we'll see you next week.